day, everybody. Welcome to Detox Diary episode 2. So I'm recording this one a little bit late because I couldn't do it last week because I was in immense amounts of pain. And so that really consumed my brain. Like I just couldn't focus properly. I did continue on the detox perfectly fine, but I couldn't even move my neck. So what happened was I apparently sprained my neck, and then when I did that, I trapped a nerve in there. So that was a full 7 days of ridiculous amounts of pain that I just could not escape. Like there was nothing that made it go away. And so I was inflamed. I was just not myself. And I was unfortunately having to take painkillers as well. So that was putting extra load onto my liver and my gut. And so it was just not good. But anyway, so I'm good now. It's taken a while to get there, but here we are. But what I did do was I voice recorded certain days so that I could make sure I could get those details right. So going back to day 4, I've got notes here, I'm just going to read those. I reportedly had a wonderful sleep that particular night, and that was Saturday, July the 4th. And I put that down to the day before, I had gone for a run and it was sunny. So I had got a lot of vitamin D and I was able to reset my circadian rhythm, and I was feeling obviously good, and there's oxygen flowing around and all that sort of stuff. So I was feeling quite good. So I slept very, very well. And then I woke up feeling super refreshed and excited to go to the gym well before my 7 o'clock alarm. And I was super excited to go to a boxing class, and I hadn't been for about 4 or 5 months actually. So I was super excited. Things had sort of come, back into normal a little bit, I suppose. And I was full of beans, super excited. And so I got up and this was my first day. Okay, let me talk to you about caffeine. Okay, because days don't start without coffee, right? And I've never ever tried to not have coffee before, ever since I started drinking it. 1 coffee in the morning every day is what I do. That's just was like, I've never previously been interested in cutting that out, but I thought, okay, let's just do it for this. So I did get some decaf coffee, and I'm pretty sure it's not entirely caffeine free, but it definitely has less caffeine in it than the usual stuff, because it was very interesting. So I had my coffee, as I do, I get up, I make a coffee, I sit and watch the news by the fire and just like chill out when it's nice and quiet. And so I had a decaf coffee, and I thought, okay, that's tolerable, I suppose. It still tastes the same. I did have to have a couple of extra teaspoons, but anyway, that was fine. But then I got into the car and I was completely flat. Like I had no energy. And I thought, wow, I never ever thought that I relied on my morning caffeine like that. My morning coffee, sure, because I like the taste of it, but the caffeine part, didn't think I relied on that. So that was very interesting. And then the slight struggle through the class was noted as well. And that could be due to the fact that I hadn't actually done that specific one for 4 or 5 months. But I did do an hour and a half. So I did that, and then I did a half an hour abs class after that as well. So I was pretty fatigued. So the other note from there as well is, after I had finished that second class, I had a very, very extreme Raynaud's attack. So what that means is that my extremities lose blood flow and they basically shut down. So both my hands and my feet are entirely white and purple, and it's very, very painful, very uncomfortable. And so I was chucked into the bath by people around me who love me. I sort of tried to fight it because I was stubborn. I'm like, nope, we're just going to ignore that and just keep going in the detox. And I did. But anyway, so I jumped into the bath and it was hotter than usual. Not temperature-wise, but it felt hotter to me. It's kind of hard to explain, but it seemed to be very shocking to my body. So I was in there for about an hour and struggling. So yes, I got hot, like too hot though. And so I got out and I took my heart rate, and it was 110, which is like double what I usually am. So that was very strange. So then I got out, and then I got freezing cold again. So I've got layers upon layers upon layers of clothes and scarves and woolen stuff standing next to the fire, and I was just freezing cold for a long time. And so my body's like freaking out, obviously. It was also the second day that I started to take the supplements to support this detox. So I've stopped taking all my other supplements, which is just a multivitamin, probiotic, and fish oil. Sorry, I am still taking the probiotic, but now I'm taking a thermophase, which is to support phase 1 and phase 2 of liver detoxification. So this is like a vanilla powder. It's reasonable. It's fine. It's pea based, and it's got milk thistle in there. It's got magnesium. It's got some amino acids, B vitamins, selenium, and that sort of thing. So I stopped taking my other supplements because I just didn't want to overdo the zinc and the selenium, and also just to see how this works on its own. So there's that. So you take that twice a day, but that particular day I had only started taking it once a day. And the other one is the Detox. So this is to help with the gastrointestinal and kidney detoxification process. And it's got glutamine in there, which helps the gut lining. It's got spirulina in there. Got zinc in here as well, and a couple of other things to help support that process. So I started taking those. So I did that. I stopped caffeine. I did the gym a bit longer than usual. So my body's like, dude, what's going on? Like, this is ridiculous. So had a bit of a meltdown, didn't it? Also, during that day, I was super, super, super moody. Honestly, it was quite extreme, actually. Like minute to minute, I was like rah, and then like all good, and then like rah, and it was crazy. And apparently the night before that, going by my voice recordings, I had really extreme sugar cravings, and I don't have a lot of sugar either. And I usually try to, as a nutritionist, I'm aware of how this works, and I try to keep my blood sugar levels stable. I tend not to have too much simple sugars and all that sort of stuff, but something was going on. So in those first 4 days, I was very, very energized, but my body was also freaking out. So I wasn't quite sure what was going on. And so that was day 4. Now the next day, just checking my notes again, the next day I woke up with the sore neck, and I still went to the gym, and that was kind of fine. I could feel the niggle, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. So I was feeling absolutely amazing up until about day 4 and 5. So summarizing week 1 now. And then I got very frustrated with the pain, the inflammation, having to take painkillers and all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't a fantastic week in that respect, but some stuff has definitely happened. Another thing to note is that in that first week, I was extremely hungry, like way more hungry than I usually am, like almost double what I would usually eat, which was kind of annoying, actually. I was just like, really? Are you hungry again? Jeez. It was all good stuff, of course. It was all detox approved foods and this, that, and the other. But it was quite strong. So really the things to report mostly was I had some sugar cravings, I had some potentially caffeine withdrawals. My gut was a bit strange. It was struggling to adjust to a couple of things. But there was no headache. There were no flu-like symptoms, as what is sometimes expected when you start off a detox. I wasn't looking forward to that, but that didn't happen, so that was fine. And actually, speaking of that, the whole non-headache thing, that's interesting for week 2. So stay tuned for another video after that where I'll explain a little bit about that in association with the other, I would say, victim who's doing this and not taking these supplements. Anyway, stay tuned for that. Another thing to note, that in the first couple of days, I had lost a couple of kilos. I can't remember, I might have mentioned that. Sorry if I did. But anyway, it's in my notes. So I'd lost a couple of kilos, which wasn't a huge amount because I don't have a whole lot to lose. But what was important to note is that it went back up again when I hurt myself. So that's what inflammation does to you. So that pretty much sums up how my body was reacting and how I was feeling for week 1. And a couple of other lessons that I learned was that you have to really wrap your head around this before you start. And then you have to decide you're going to do it, and then you have to commit. It is quite demanding, and there's a lot of things to take on board. So you really have to do the preparation for that. And that leads on to the second thing, is that being prepared is the absolute key to the success of this. So while I'm very determined and interested in doing this, if I wasn't as prepared as what I was, then I don't think it would have been quite as smooth as what it was. Just, making sure that there's meal prep, there's things in place, and all the bases are covered. And the first thing that we did was clear the contraband from the house. So that was saying goodbye to anything that's in a packet, things with numbers on them, anything with any sugar. We had to get rid of the maple syrup, and that's gone into a box to bring back later. It's going to be very interesting to see how we introduce those back in, whether we do or not. Who knows? But anyway, so they're hiding away, out of sight, out of mind, right? So that was the first thing. Then having a meal plan to stick to is very important, and then having a shopping list from that is also very important, and then having a booklet with all of the things written down that you have to avoid and things that you can have on this detox is very, very helpful as well. So preparation is the absolute key, and make it easy for yourself. Like I said, take away those temptations, put them out of sight, out of mind, completely rearrange your cupboards, drawers, pantries, whatever. Make it easy. Have healthy baking. There are some healthy baking recipes that you can have. It's not all complete denial, it's just sort of changing a few things. And I think that's what's really helped, is to do some baking, which I did end up doing that particular day. I made a really, really nice gluten-free vegan brownie based on kumara. It was very nice. So that helped. The other thing to note is that it can be quite time consuming. So you need to read and research and gather and prepare, and it's not just food either. It's the other environmental toxins that you might be exposed to. So your dishwashing liquid, your laundry powder, shampoos, conditioners, makeup, the list goes on. All the plastic containers that you use, all that sort of stuff. So I did allow in the first week to just learn about those things, because it is a lot to take on board, and just sort of phase them out, because I'm not about to go and buy a whole new kit of makeup when I've got a whole lot of very expensive stuff. I'm just going to be a bit more mindful. And then I switched out some stuff that was easy to change, like laundry detergent and dishwashing liquid. Because when you think about it, how much of that dishwashing liquid are you going to consume every time you use your plate, knife, your fork, or what have you? How much plastic will you be consuming if you heat it up in the microwave? And you have, if it's got chemicals in it, the laundry powder is on your skin all the time. You absorb that. It's toxic. It's crazy when you think about how much stuff. But and it sounds overwhelming, and it is in the beginning, but you just need to just level it out and make sure that it doesn't overtake you and make you not want to do it. It's just being mindful of it and not doing it all at once. Another thing that I noted is that I really miss Greek yogurt, which is dairy-based, so dairy is not allowed on the detox. So I experimented with coconut yogurt, and it was sour and feral. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll try a sheep's milk yogurt, which is allowed. And that just tasted wrong. It was just so wrong. So I'm abstaining from yogurt entirely. Because they're both horrible, and it seems like a waste. I'm thinking, how can I put them into some kind of baking? But I just don't know. There's a certain element of developing a certain taste to enjoy certain things, but those two for me just weren't good. So I'm going with that. Another note is to find the right stores. So go to your local organic grocer and your veggie shop and all those sorts of things, and just see what they have. Get used to reading labels and get your head around having fun in the kitchen, having fun learning all this stuff too, because it doesn't have to be a terrible thing, and it's not. I'm really, really, really enjoying it, but it can be a lot to take on board in the first instance. So that pretty much summarizes week 1, and I will continue and do week 2.